Alright everyone, welcome back to another Commander Deck Tech video. I know we have some Kaldheim cards coming out here, but I'll cover some of those spoilers in another video, or I'll just go over everything in the new year once we have a better idea of what the set's going to look like. But for now, I want to go over a cool curse deck using Ghen, Arcanum Weaver from Commander Legends. Now I'm still obsessed with this set because it's only been out for like a month, and I think all the cards are pretty cool. Ghen Arcanum Weaver is 3 mana, red, white, and black, so Mardu colors for a 2/3 legendary human wizard. The activated ability is 3 mana and you can tap to sacrifice an enchantment. Once you do that, you can return a target enchantment from your graveyard to the battlefield. This is a way that you can easily recycle enchantments, so you can bring back more useful ones while sacrificing less useful ones. So let's go over the most boring part of the deck, which is the lands, and it's typically just going to be your Mardu mana fixing, so all 3 of the colors that you can make. The only card that we're going to focus on here outside of mana is Hall of Heliod's Generosity. So you just pay 2 mana and tap it to put target enchantment card from your graveyard on top of your library, which is a very powerful thing to have when we're also just bringing back enchantments normally. We can make certain that we're getting back the ones that we really want. We have some ramp in here, and I have the deck broken up into different categories. So we have 7 ramp cards here. We have Soul Ring, we have Wayfarer's Bauble, Arcane Signet, Boros Signet, Felwar Stone, Orzhov Stone, and Rakdos Signet. Pretty simple ramp here. We don't want to get too expensive with it. Pretty simple ramp here. We don't want to have to spend too much mana to ramp up. Our commander's only 3 mana, so we do this turn 2 and set up perfectly for that. We have some card draw in here, not a lot of it, but just cards that are specifically card draw. We have Faithless Looting, Cathartic Reunion, Thrill of Possibility, and Mesa Enchantress, which this is something we really need more of, but if we had more cards that just rewarded you for playing enchantments by letting you draw cards, the deck would be so much better. We have some removal in here. We have Path to Exile, Swords to Plowshares, Dispark, Anguished Unmaking, Crackling Doom, Utter End, Merciless Eviction, Ruinous Ultimatum, so we can destroy all non-land permanents our opponents control. This is a very powerful spell, and Blasphemous Act. So we have a ton of ways to really just add to our curses by also dealing with other problems. And we have some ways of searching up what we want. We have Entomb. Entomb just allows you to search up for any card and put it into your graveyard. Our best enchantment we can get back pretty easily with Ghen. We have Heliod's Pilgrim. Since curses are auras, we can just tutor them up with Heliod's Pilgrim. And we have Bitterheart Witch, which can also tutor up a curse, but it can put it directly onto the battlefield once it dies. And then we have Gravebreaker Lamia. This is just an enchantment creature that also has an Entomb on the ETB. We have some other cards in here. Some of it's just generic enchantment stuff, some of it's protection. We have Kaya's Ghost Form. Fantastic because it's an aura, we can search it up. It's also going to make it so that our Ghen can stay out there a little bit longer. We have Lightning Greaves and Swiftfoot Boots, kinda to do the same thing. Once our Ghen is gone, it's going to be a lot harder to play the deck, so we do want to protect them. We have Daneth the Capuchin, making our auras and equipment spells cost 1 less. We have Ghostly Prison. There's an enchantment sub-theme to the deck, so we do want to have some other good ones in here. We have Gift of Immortality, kind of like Kaya's Ghost Form, but this can be useful several times. So if the enchanted creature dies, we return it to the battlefield under our control, and then we return Gift of Immortality back to the battlefield attached to that same creature at the beginning of the next end step. We have Smothering Tithe because it's Smothering Tithe and one of the best cards in the game. We have Tiana, Ship's Caretaker. Whenever an aura or equipment card is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, we get to return that card to its owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step. So, a way that we can easily just reuse enchantments, get them back to our hands so we can replay them. Going to be useful because we do have that utility with our commander to just sacrifice an enchantment so we can get it back with Tiana. We have Open the Vaults just to get back everything if we want it. And then we have Sun Titan because a lot of these curses are going to be pretty cheap. And Captive Audience. Not really a curse, but it might as well be. It enters the battlefield under the control of an opponent of your choice. Your life total becomes 4, you discard your hand. Each opponent creates 5 2/2 black zombie creature tokens. Not really useful if it stays on the battlefield under an opponent's control, but we can just easily bring it back with Ghen and it will just enter under another opponent's control. We have some more enchantment support. This is the enchantment sub-theme. We have Starfield Mystic to make enchantments cost 1 less. We have Daxos the Returned. A big benefit to playing Daxos is that you can make enchantment creature tokens. So if you really wanted another enchantment just to sacrifice, one that wasn't really doing much, you get a creature token that you can sacrifice. We have Arcanum of Sun's Grace, so we can make a bunch of Pegasus tokens. We will hopefully be playing a bunch of enchantments. And then we have Heliod, God of the Sun, very similar to Daxos. The activated ability can help us make a 2/1 white cleric enchantment creature token, so we can just sacrifice that enchantment and bring back some other ones from our graveyard. We have Doomwake Giant. It has Constellation, which is a really powerful trigger. Whenever Doomwake Giant or another enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, creatures your opponents control get -1/-1 until end of turn. So if you set up your turn well, this should be a lot of -1/-1s. And then we have Sigil of the Empty Throne, kind of like Arcanum of Sun's Grace. Whenever we cast an enchantment, we create a 4/4 white angel creature token with flying. And then we have Sphere of Safety, so pretty much going to make it difficult for our opponents to ever attack us. And the final part of the deck, which is the main part of the deck, it's our curses. We have Curse of Opulence, so whenever the player is attacked, we create a colorless artifact token named Gold, which we can sacrifice it for 1 mana of any color, and each opponent attacking that player does the same. We have Curse of Vengeance. Whenever enchanted player casts a spell, put a spike counter on it, and when the enchanted player loses the game, we gain X life and draw X cards, where X is the number of spike counters on Curse of Vengeance. So it's a tiny curse, it's only 1 mana, but it has a massive payoff if you can get to it. And then we have Curse of Stalked Prey. Whenever a creature deals combat damage to the enchanted player, you put a +1/+1 counter on that creature. We have Trespasser's Curse. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under the enchanted player's control, that player loses a life and we gain a life. We have Curse of Disturbance. Whenever the enchanted player is attacked, we create a 2/2 black zombie creature token, and so does each opponent attacking that player. And then we have Curse of Shallow Graves, which is kind of the same thing. Whenever a player attacks enchanted player with 1 or more creatures, they get to put a 2/2 black zombie creature token onto the battlefield tapped. We have Curse of the Forsaken, 3 mana. Whenever a creature attacks enchanted player, its controller gains a life. And then we have Curse of the Nightly Hunt. Creatures enchanted player controls attack each turn if able. We have Curse of Vitality. Whenever enchanted player is attacked, you gain 2 life. Each opponent attacking that player does the same. We have a Cursed Witch. It's a creature to start out with, but it can flip into a curse. When it dies, we return it to the battlefield transformed, and then it becomes Infectious Curse. Spells you cast that target the enchanted player cost 1 less to cast, and at the beginning of enchanted player's upkeep, that player loses a life and you gain a life. And then we have Curse of Exhaustion. Enchanted player can't cast more than 1 spell each turn. We have Curse of Oblivion. At the beginning of the player's upkeep, that player exiles 2 cards from their graveyard. We have Torment of Scarabs. At the beginning of the enchanted player's upkeep, they lose 3 life unless they sacrifice a non-land permanent or discard a card. We have Curse of Bloodletting. If a source would deal damage to the player, it deals double that damage to that player instead. We have Curse of Death's Hold. Creatures the enchanted player controls get -1/-1. And then we have Curse of Misfortunes. This might be the best curse. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may search your library for a curse card that doesn't have the same name as a curse attached to the enchanted player. Put it onto the battlefield attached to that player, then shuffle your library. So it can pretty much just get the other curses out pretty easily. And then we have Curse of Thirst. At the beginning of enchanted player's upkeep, Curse of Thirst deals damage to that player equal to the number of curses attached to them. We have Curse of Fool's Wisdom. Whenever enchanted player draws a card, they lose 2 life and you gain 2 life. You can also play it for its madness cost of 4 if you discard it. Then we have Cruel Reality. At the beginning of the enchanted player's upkeep, that player sacrifices a creature or planeswalker, and if they can't, they lose 5 life. Then we have Overwhelming Splendor. This one's pretty devastating if you can get to it. Creatures enchanted player controls lose all abilities and have base power and toughness 1/1. Enchanted player can't activate abilities that aren't mana abilities or loyalty abilities. So you pretty much just neutralize 1 player at the table. So anyway guys, let me know what you think about this cursed deck using Ghen Arcanum Weaver. I'm probably going to have a lot of fun making new decks with Kaldheim cards, so look forward to seeing some deck techs for those. Let me know what you think about this deck in the comment section below. I will also have the link in the description. You all have a wonderful day. Void here signing off. See you all next time.